Hey everyone, this is Leo Young here with Impressive Review, episode number 5, and today we will be reviewing Legends of Tomorrow, episode 1, titled Out of Time. So this is the start to season 2, and really all I can say, well no, actually not all I can say is it was amazing. That one episode outdid every other episode from season 1, and that's saying something really, because that had like 24 episodes. So yeah, wow. Let's give CW a round of applause right there. I'm actually really interested to do the rest of the season because I'm hearing that they're going to add so many other people to it, and like I'm really curious. I kind of want to say that if they ever do a Constantine show, I'm gonna make a Lucifer comment because for those of you that don't know, Lucifer is actually a DC character who they gave over to Fox, or was it ABC? Either way, they gave him over to them, and he's actually yeah, Lucifer is a DC character. He actually follows suit with the actual comic book representation of how they created Lucifer. Anyways, the CGI was great. How they did everything was great. Even like Ray wasn't annoying, but there was another character in the show that did come off kind of annoying, and that was either and it was sorry about that. Something fell on the ground. I had to pick it up. That was either because of the writers or because of her. Her. I'm not really sure. I guess it would just be because of the writers and how they chose to use her. But seeing as I'm saying the pronoun her, I guess you guys are kind of figuring out because there's only well, now I kind of sit down and think about it. I never realized it, but there's only one other female on the team besides Gideon. So you already know who I'm talking about. So really, let's get in. I've been stalling long enough. So the show starts off with Nate Haywood racing over to Oliver's office in Star City. Now Nate tries to says he's trying to see others, but Oliver is the only one who listened to him, which means well, that actually could mean a lot. It could mean that he actually went to people like Ted Cord. We wouldn't know because well, you don't know that. We don't know that yet. But he says he pretty much figured out Oliver was a Green Arrow based off of complete common sense. 5 months after Oliver returns to the city, the Green Arrow shows up. A little coincidental. Anyways, what he tells him is in 1942, a nuke went off and in New York City, and Oliver quickly assumes that the legends are dead. Now, something you should really just like you could pretty much figure out is 1942. The first nuke didn't drop until 1940. So, using the information they've gotten, Nate and Oliver together travel to where the Wave Rider crashed, and they find Mick Rory, aka Heatwave, in a stasis field. And they wake him up, and that's where that entire scene you see up right now on the screen is. So Mick explains that they've been fighting for 6 months, him and the Legends, and the flashback he has starts of them saving the King of France. The acting was amazing, the jokes were amazing, and this is where my problem begins. It's just a single character. There's this scene where Sarah, the Queen of France, as the assassins are attacking. Well, actually, the Queen of France actually Sarah. And if you hear like a bleeped out part, that's not or not, a silent part. That's me trying to cover something up. But Rip gets after them because the legends are pretty much going crazy. Well, not crazy, crazy, but like there are assassins with lasers, some time traveling going on. Firestorm is awake. Um, the Atom is flying around blasting, and Mick actually says he was the only one who's a good little boy. He left his heat gun on the ship, and they really are just legends. So at the end of season 1, we remember that Rex Tyler, aka Our Man, told them not to go on the Wave Rider. In fact, he actually said, "Don't go to 1942 because that's when they would die." Now, even when they're remembering that, the reason they remember that is because a time quake happens in 1942, and that's where Nazis nuked New York. Now, this is kind of strange because Rip has never dealt with a time quake. time quake, and that's basically a very powerful ripple in time. And I'm guessing the reason he's never dealt with that before is because there were so many other time masters out there. They were keeping time in check. Nothing was wrong. So as Rip is figuring this all out, Sarah asks Gideon if Dark is in New York during the time, so she can like go off and kill him. And it's just like a little secret between her and Gideon. So after like reviewing what happened in the time quake, they see that a newspaper came up, and it said the World War II finally over, but it said 1947, 2 more years longer than it should have been. So Ray and Martin learned that Einstein was kidnapped by the Nazis to help develop a nuke. Now, um, during this, there's a little like scene where Jax is trying to fix the wave. Well, Rip is having Jax fix the wave rider instead of helping them out, and Jax gets upset at that. But we pretty much find out why later. So when they finally land, Sarah breaks off from the team to kill Dark. Ray is suspicious, so he follows her in secret. And on the other side, they pretty much find Einstein. And Einstein is touching people's booties. He's like, "Hello, girls. Let me show you my theory of gravity or revelation." I don't remember. I failed school. But they save Einstein from Nazi assassins, and Rip basically turns into James Bond in that one scene. Anyways, they bring him to the Wave Rider, where Einstein basically says there's only one other person who could help develop a nuke, and it's a woman. It's his wife. So the legends, they prepare to go out and save his wife, but right before then, Ray tells everyone that Sarah went after Dark, and he argues about her being only an assassin, and she says that Ray is nothing more than a guy without a suit. And Ray goes like, "You're right, I am nothing more than a guy without a suit. However, this suit can track the uranium coming off of Dark, because Dark is also involved with the Nazis and the nukes and the uranium and all that." So the Legends attack Dark and his forces as they're loading a nuke at a dock. They've gotten better working as a team. It's actually pretty amazing, but during the fight, Sarah allows her vengeance to cloud her judgment, and she goes after Dark. And during the fight, Ray's suit shuts down, Heat Wave is shot, and everyone's forced to retreat, but Sarah is reluctantly also joining them. Now, like I said, Rip has Jax fixing the Wave Rider, but he does it for a reason. You see, he wants him to know how to work the Wave Rider because he doesn't believe he'll be around much longer, and they're gonna need someone who knows how to make the ship work. So now that that's being done, Rip has a plan to use the Wave Rider to fight the Nazis in their U-boat and to save New York from being nuked. So to stop the nuke, Rip plans to collide the Wave Rider with it. And to keep his legends safe, he scatters them throughout time. However, Heatwave is too injured to survive, so he pretty much knocks him out and puts him in the stasis. It's kind of funny because when he says, I've sent all the legends to different times to keep them safe," Mick just says, "I knew you never liked me." That was pretty awesome. Mick is always going to keep the show running for me. Anyways, he puts him in the stasis, and Rip goes down with the ship. That would basically be where he died, because the ship was never found until 2016 by Oliver and him. And that's where the Heatwave finishes the story with Oliver. And Oliver tells him that his best chance of finding the legends is Nate Haywood. So they go back in time to find Ray Palmer in the Jurassic era. Both Jax and Stein are in medieval times entertaining a kid, who I personally believe is Mordo. And Sarah is in Salem, and this is where my problem is. She's basically being called a witch because she's a lesbian, and that's not the reason that's my problem. I'll explain the personal thoughts why that's a problem. Anyways, Rip's the only person who hasn't been found. So they all go together on the Wave Rider, and Nate puts up a system to protect Einstein. I really don't understand how they did it. And then they skip over to the U-boat where Dark is. And Dark's about to get shot by a bunch of Nazis until the Reverse Flash comes in and saves him. And that's basically the start of their Legion of Doom. Now, right before the Legends leave 1942, they are ambushed by the JSA, Stargirl, Our Man, Dr. Midnight, Obsidian Vixen, and Commander Steel. Now that's pretty much the end of this video. However, my personal thoughts will be coming right up after, so I hope you'd enjoy. Hey everyone, this is Leo's personal thoughts, and let's get right into it. So one thing I noticed about the team, and it's something you would have to watch the episode to do it, is that the team was willing to die to stop New York City from being nuked, and that's one thing. That's an admirable thing to do. That's something you can understand, and it's one of those things that looks great on paper, but when you sit down and you think about it, this team is literally the only team that's out there protecting the time, that protecting time itself from people like the Reverse Flash. Like, think about it. Flash would never have known Thawne was doing this. Flash is more focused on protecting the city of Central City. I was going to say he's more focused on the now and then, but he's really not. He's getting his head straight right now. But it's like the Legends are the only time masters out there. They are willing to say, "Hey, we're going to die. All right, we're going to kill ourselves protecting this one city instead of like because one thing that is going to happen is the Thanagar itself, the Thanagarian army is going to attack Earth at one point. They're going to need the Legends. All right, they're going to need them. Now, that's just one of the things. It's like personally, their personal like sacrifice. Yes, that's heroic. But when you look at it from a distance, like all of you don't need to die. Really, all of you don't need to die. And another thing is like they they were fighting Dark's goons on the dock. They've done that same scene before. How did they lose that bad? And I'll tell you how. And I'll get right to it right now. I'm not going to actually say exactly how they lost. I'm going to say my second problem because I've been saying it all over the video. Sarah Lance. In this entire episode, they made her a whore. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, the first thing she did when the time stream is intact, not intact, is attacked with the Queen of France. What does she do? She, her. Alright, he's like, really? That's what you're going to do during, like, I understand. Like, it would have been alright if it was one time, but it wasn't. Like, she is either very hoary, she's either a whore or she's a killer. She is a whoring killer, if that makes any sense. Like, the fact is like, alright, she had sex with the Queen of France. Alright, I guess I understand that. But she's in Salem, Massachusetts. The Salem witch trials. What they basically said was Sarah had a lesbian like relationship with multiple girls in that town. Do you understand what like they made her a whore? She's a great character, but really she's a whore. I hope they don't really continue playing with that. Like, if you don't know, Captain Cold wanted his own like he wanted Captain Cold to be pansexual. And I was like, alright, let's do it. They don't give him that type. They don't give him the time. Each time he comes up with the female, he's like, well, really, each time they come up with a female, he's the one having a relationship. Sarah had one relationship in the show in season one. In season two, on one episode, they basically said she had sex with like, if I'm correct, the entire town of Salem had witches. So I'm gonna say she had sex with about 9 people in one episode. They only showed one, and they hinted to the others. So that's kind of messed up. All right, now the third other personal thought really was something I had noticed while was they were talking about Rip and Sarah being a killer and Ray being nothing useful. Inside of Rip's office, he had two masks, two things I had noticed. All right, you know how he has like the how we originally saw the Sergeant Rock helmet? Well, in this one, it's a little bit more interesting. On one of his desks, he had Katana's mask right there. And that's kind of suspicious. Like, personally, I understand that Rip likes heroes. Well, actually, no, I don't know how much Rip likes heroes, but he's collecting people's stuff. He has Katana's mask on his table, and he's like, okay, that's fine. But over on the shelf, he has the helmet of a JSA member, Red Tornado. I'm not 100% sure, but and okay, let me rephrase that. Let me re-say that. Red Tornado in the original was a woman who put a pot and pan on her head with holes in it, and she would beat up bad guys. And in modern time, She's basically the person who watches over the JSA's base. So, yeah, Red Tornado was originally a young woman who's now an old maid, and she's actually related to Cyclone, who is a JSA member right now. She's the redheaded girl who looks like a witch in those sexy high socks. High socks. Uh, really, I was happy to see that I was right in who would help in Dark, and that Reverse Flash is in fact the leader of the Legion. But I've already made a little video over there addressing that, so it's really I don't have to go into that right here. But just to like recap, I kind of guessed that he would be the guy who would be the leader of the Legion of Doom because I can understand them bringing back Vandal Savage. Like that would make sense to me. They get Dark Reverse Flash goes back in time. He meets Savage. He tells him the future, and Savage is like, "Listen, you need to start banning other people like us together and start fighting these guys back. They are named the JSA, and they will be a problem." Or just like Reverse Flash going back in time, because he's the only guy who can really do this. He's the only guy who can go back in time. Now the real question is, like how are the Legion of Doom going to be able to communicate with each other? But that's something we're going to have to see for a later episode, if you know what I mean, because it's one thing to take another speedster through time. It's another thing to take a person who can't survive that rush of air. Really, that's about it. Another like quick thought is like I just want to do two little fun things. One, why didn't Jackson Stein combine during those 6 months in the medieval time? Like that would have been awesome if they came back and found them and they're literally like God. Like they're just sitting there, oh, what's up? Yeah, we know how to turn wood into chicken now. So we haven't starved for a good minute. And I forgot the other thing. Oh well. If I ever remember, I'll make sure to put it in the next video. But wow. Nope, I remember. Reverse Flash. The picture I put up and I made the caption with it, I don't understand how his hair comes out so perfect when he wears that mask. Barry's doesn't, his does. That is always going to bug me. But that's just that's Leo's thoughts. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye now.